What do you know about neurons and neurotransmitters and how they affect our beliefs? Yeah, it's not like, hey, I'm not reading off a teleprompter at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Teleprompter.
Teleprompter.
That's what the people in Hollywood have.
That's what the professional people use. Just like the Lonely Spaceman. Just
saying. It's got a bigger budget than I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Neurons and neuron transmitters.
Does this, do you look at that in particular with your work as far as kinesiology? I mean, you would, but do you, and I know you know a little bit about the science side, but I mean, I don't know, how much?
I don't work with it directly, but, how can you not work with it?
Yeah.
It's where, beliefs that we don't want anymore, or beliefs that we want to make new, we're altering the ecosystem of neuron pathways. So if we do a behavior over and over and over again throughout our life, the what's it called? The myelinage? The coating on the neurons get thicker and thicker, so we're able to take that neural pathway from behavior to action to thought, that thought pathway to action, and just more easily and more easily as we go.
Just to let everyone know as well, just in case you're wondering what the hell are we talking about, neurons are inside the brain, so I think I did get the numbers out there somewhere. It's like something like 1 trillion or 11 trillion or some ridiculous number inside the brain, but between each one of these neurons are actually connections, and those connections are what forms our memories and our it's our history, it's everything, it's how we remember things. So when we remember something, it triggers that neuron pathway, and in regards to, that's how our brains are formed, and that's how we start focusing, get memories in the early days. And if you're familiar with dementia and getting older and everything, that's what starts breaking down, and those neurons get cut. So it's when it comes to psychology and when it comes to people working all that out, that's why it's so big. And that's why it has everything to do with our reality, our perception and everything, because it's our brain, essentially. And sorry to cut you off, but I just realised we hadn't actually just told anyone what it is.
Yeah, definitely. It's the mechanisms of the belief. We think that beliefs and ideas and thoughts are some untangible thing, which they are, but there's a pathway in our brains that represent each of these behaviors, each of these stories. You know? And the more we do these behaviors and stories, the more it turns a back dusty road into a super highway, so we can access it more and more. And that means the stuff that we like doing, we can do easier. It's like learning a new thing, learning a sport. It's hard at first, but as we continue to access that same neural pathway, it gets easier and easier. And adversely, if we, say, start smoking and a little neuron pathway activates that me doing this equals pleasure. And that pathway gets done and done and done over and over, that gets turned into a superhighway too. So that's why it's really hard to break addiction. It's like being...
Yeah, because you've run that same neuron over and over and over and over and over again in the brain. It's just, And I like that, obviously the link, and anyone who's done it has seen the exact same or very similar examples where it starts off as a dirt road, and I think I wrote it as well. It starts off as a dirt road, when you think about it, and then because it gets used more and more, the council comes along and makes it bigger, and it becomes so strong and so ingrained that you just automatically do it. It's the same thing if you automatically do something on a daily basis and you don't have to think about it. That's because you've done it so many times. People talk about, I used to do it myself, driving to work every day. You're at work and you can't even remember how you got there, because it was just so, even though you must have been thinking about the traffic and everything, but it was so ingrained. It's like, you got work and just, I can't even remember how I got here this morning.
And it's so much easier in the, 6-lane Eastern Freeway, but that's even harder for you to break that.
Exactly,
if that's something that you want to stop, you know, taking down a 6-lane highway isn't the easiest of things. That's why, you know, you should get support where you need it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good.
One other thing about this is when we take on a belief when we're little and that neuron pathway is developed, like you make something mean something when you're younger, your brain gets developed in a way that you see the outside world of excuses to make that correct.
Yeah.
So
this is your perception and focus. So your perception creates a belief system, and then you start focusing on other things to reinforce that belief system.
Yeah, definitely. Because you want your belief. Like the worst thing in the world is to have a belief shattered.
Yeah.
And so everything you do and everything you see, everyone you talk to, you kind of unconsciously relate it to your paradigm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why people won't change their beliefs once they're ingrained. And yes, it could be religion. Yes, it could be politics in particular. Once you've got that belief system, you're not even going to be open-minded to hear anyone else's point of view. I use those two because they're obviously two of the bigger ones. But, But yeah,
it's like teaching an old dog new tricks is a saying that comes to mind. Like some of the older population might seem a bit more stubborn, and that's because they're ingrained to do the thing that they do, you know, over and over again, and it's really hard to break, you know. And
that really does nail perception and focus, and why it's at the beginning of the book and all this kind of stuff like that, because exactly what Steve just said, it's really is. Once you believe something and you start focusing, your whole life is based around that belief and making that belief actually work for you. So the question is, how big is that belief on your scale in life on everything? So I just mentioned politics and, you know, religion, but it's also, you know, what's motherly, what's nurturing, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what you know, what cereal you like to eat in the morning, what you know, how you probably even the way you breathe, or the, you know, how you have a beard, or the clothing. It's everything. Every element is a perception and a focus. And when you go out, for instance, and shop, you're going to be looking for certain things, and that's why marketers know that emotions are linked to clothing and to different types of. And I'm writing about this right now. It's all, you know, trying to see what your triggers are and actually getting you to automatically walk in there. And you don't even know you're going in there because the neuron's already in there, and suddenly you start swaying yourself into that store. Yeah. You don't know why you're fascinated in that store. But maybe it's the mannequin, maybe it's the beautiful person behind the counter, maybe it's the way the lights are set in the actual room, maybe it's the smell that comes out. We know a lot of restaurants have fans blowing that smell out so people go in, and it's just like, wow. You know, nostalgia and so forth.
It's not just people in self-development that are interested in this kind of thing. Marketing people know this back to front, and they use it to manipulate or to sell, you know. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're just using a law to their advantage, you know. It's really interesting.
Yeah.